what kind of comes next in this story?
Yeah, so it's been known since, I mean, I have, Ansel Keys, the famous cholesterol researcher, said in 1952 that dietary cholesterol doesn't have any relationship to atherosclerosis, right? And he repeated that in 1997, saying, unless you're a rabbit or a chicken, no relationship, right?
Hmm.
There are some people where if they eat a little bit more cholesterol, their cholesterol levels in blood will go up, but it's not very material. And there was a famous case of a man who was institutionalized, and one of his mental problems was that all he would eat was eggs. And there's a great research paper out there called The Man Who Ate 25 Eggs a Day. And, the cardiologists were thrilled to find this guy, but dismayed to discover that his cholesterol levels were quote unquote normal.
Right, right.
And aside from his mental issues, so note to the listeners, don't eat 25 eggs a day. Maybe it will drive you crazy. He complained about
Hmm.
it, but
But
it
yeah,
didn't give him heart
right.
disease.
So their expectation was, well, eggs have quite a bit of cholesterol. So if you're eating a bunch of eggs and not much else, you should have very high cholesterol. They didn't see that in this patient. And that fits with everything I know from the literature today, which is cholesterol ingestion has some relationship to cholesterol levels in the body. But actually, the more you eat, the smaller the move in your cholesterol levels will be. I know that in other animals, they've explicitly identified um, hormones in the body that form basically a negative feedback loop mechanism where the more you ingest, the less your body makes.
Right.
The less you ingest, the more your body makes because your body
Right. Just
wants to.
like
Yeah,
just like blood glucose,
right.
right? You'll have a variation, and eating it will cause your blood glucose to go up a little bit or a lot. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a perfect analogy, but ultimately your liver is going to make less glucose to put into your blood if you're eating more of it.
Mm-hmm.
Your body wants to keep levels of these things roughly stable because too much in either direction can be a problem.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
cholesterol, it's often noted, is an essential component of the human body. And if you have one of these genetic conditions where your body either can't make or can't transport cholesterol, you're going to have all sorts of unpleasant uh, consequences of that, severe retardation.
Yeah, yeah.
I
And
haven't spent a I haven't spent a ton of time going through all the symptoms of not having enough cholesterol because
yeah,
it's
well, I would
just clearly a
imagine.
bad thing.
Yeah, I would imagine. Right. I mean, it's almost like saying, I mean, it's such a basic thing that like so much could go wrong. I mean, this is a precursor to all of the steroid hormones. It's a major structural piece of membranes, which, every single cell in your body is going to have cholesterol levels regulated in the membrane to determine, exactly what the fluidity of that membrane is, which has biophysical and
Right,
biochemical consequences for all of the proteins in that membrane. It's a very, very basic building block.
right, right. And, interestingly, the reason it's used as a basic building block is because it's what they call neutral. It doesn't really react to other things, right? So, kind of a leading comment here
Yeah,
is
yeah.
that you don't want to build your system out of things that are going to either degrade or cause harm to other parts of the system, right?
Right.
So the body uses cholesterol because it's pretty neutral, harmless lipid.
Mhm.
It is a fat. It's not a
So,
fat like saturated fat, but it is in the same family.
so you mentioned that Ansel Keys himself said that um, the relationship between dietary cholesterol intake and atherosclerosis was, you know, not not there strongly in humans, alluding to the fact that a lot of the studies that he and others did were done in creatures like rabbits. Unpack that a little bit more for us because the standard way to think about cholesterol is you consume cholesterol, your cholesterol goes up. The cholesterol is what makes the plaques. Therefore, that's going to drive plaque formation. Let's go through like the standard way of thinking about atherosclerosis and plaque and cholesterol from the standpoint of mainstream cardiology today.
Yeah, so I mainstream cardiology today is a bugbear of mine. But let's go through the intellectual process a little bit,
Yeah.
right? The initial thought was that it was cholesterol. They didn't really understand what that was in the blood. And
Mm-hmm.
as time went by, they were able to understand the components of cholesterol, right? Cholesterol in the blood is packaged into a protein called a lipoprotein, lipid carrying protein, along with fat, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Even for an LDL molecule, most of the payload is fat, and fat is carried around the body and often bound to cholesterol
Yeah.
in what is called a cholesterol ester. So, a
Hmm.
cholesterol ester is a molecule of cholesterol and a molecule of any of a variety of types of fat, right? And they are packaged up into these proteins, lipoproteins, and cells can basically take the payload out of the lipoprotein. And so, they started giving people treatments to lower their cholesterol levels, and they noticed that it didn't really have much of an effect on heart disease rates, right? And I don't remember off the top of my head what they are because I haven't spent an enormous amount of time looking at those.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
um,
But very basic
so then they
level.
started saying, okay, maybe it's one of the other components in
Yeah.
the lipoprotein, right? There's not much of a relationship between LDL and heart disease, despite what modern cardiology will tell you.